It has been way too long. Like, I don't even know what to say other than one, I miss y'all. And two, I am so sorry. Like, 1 week turned into 2 weeks, turned into 2 months of me not uploading here on YouTube. Like, every time I take even a week off, like, it always turns into a month or 2 months. Yeah, like, time goes by so fast, and I don't really have an excuse other than I just need to get into a better routine, which now that it is like a new year, I'm not off to the best start, but I do plan on being more consistent. And I was like waiting till I knew I could be consistent, which will be now, and I hope I can do that. So that's the plan. Anyways, I got my cup of tea. I asked y'all some questions over my Instagram because I thought it would be like the perfect video to just do a Q&A. We can just, catch up, chat. Yeah, y'all asked quite a bit of questions, so let's just get started and let's see how many I can get through. I never get through all of them. Like, there's just way too many. I'll start off with this one. How are you really doing? Which every time I do a Q&A, someone always asks like how I'm doing, and thank you for asking. And alhamdulillah, this is the happiest I have ever been in a really long time, and I feel like that says a lot. Especially like going through divorce, like it really just shows me that I truly made the right decision because I feel so like at peace now, and that leads me to like all the rest of these questions, which majority like 90% of the questions are about divorce, which I do not mind talking about at all. And I love how when I do like talk about harder topics like divorce or grief, so many of you guys appreciate that. And I mean, it's kind of sad that like you may relate to me on that, but I'm glad that like I can be that person that we can like talk about this. It helps you feel less alone. Life is not perfect. We are all dealing with something. And so many of us are dealing with like similar things. Like, it's not that you're the only one dealing with a certain issue. I promise you there is probably multiple other people going through whatever you're going through, because every time I've come on here and like talked about a hardship that I'm facing, someone else has related to me in some way. And like not even someone else, like so many other people, sad, but like it's life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what he is doing, and he is testing us with these tests because he knows we will overcome it and come out. I'm seeing a question about what gave me the courage to, finally leave and walk away from the marriage. If I'm being completely honest with you, it was really hard. Like, there were multiple times throughout this marriage that I was like, okay, I don't think this is, right for me, like this marriage. I was never able to walk away, and then things would like get better. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Like, relationships have ups and downs, which they do, but when you're going through certain things like I was going through, which I don't want to get into what those things are, but I'm pretty sure you guys can read between the lines, that's never okay. And hence why like divorce is allowed in Islam for a reason. And I think for the longest time, what made me like kind of scared to like walk away or leave was just like, I can't like give up on this, and like divorce is not a good thing, but it's allowed in Islam for a reason. And something else I realized was like Islam doesn't tell you to stay in a relationship for the kids, which I've said this before, but it is so true. Like, looking back, I didn't really have the courage on my own. I'm really grateful for this. I know so many people don't have this, but I have an amazing like family and like support from even like my friends as well. And they really helped me throughout this time, and like talking through it and making sure that I was making the right decision. Just having my family, and obviously like ultimately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, I remember so many times like making dua, and this was one time like when you're really like, sometimes we pray, we make dua, but we kind of make the dua like quickly, or I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience, and then we just like, okay, yeah, like, it's done. But if you really sit there and you take your time and you make your dua and you're truly asking from like the bottom of your heart, which is what I feel like I did a specific day, and literally the next day I felt like my dua had been answered, where I was just like, ya Allah, if this marriage is not good for me, if I meant to walk away from this, like make it so easy. And then that very next day something happened, and it just all worked out in like the best way, which is a weird way to say it, but like alhamdulillah, like it happened the way it happened, because if it hadn't happened that way, like maybe I would have gone back again, and I feel like making that dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the way things unfolded in that way because it was meant to happen that way, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's not easy to get that courage, but I will tell you, being on the other side, if you're clinging on to false hope and hoping somebody may change to their ways, but they never do, and it always goes back to the way it was, like that does more harm for like the other person mentally, like that was going through that stuff. It is not easy to like come to the decision of divorce, and I feel like as women we kind of mentally check out of the relationship a while before, until we actually like physically leave the relationship. And I will say, like, having my family and like that push that I got from them made it easier for me to walk away. Looking back, even when I did make this decision to leave and walk away, like I was having a hard time with it for a bit, but I was like, you know what, like I kept reminding myself like this is what's for the best. And with certain things that happened, I was like, no, like I cannot go back now, And I think that's the hardest thing about relationships, is you cling on to like the good moments that you had. And, obviously there's going to be many good moments, but when the bad outweighs the good. And I feel like the biggest thing, like the courage comes from when you start working on yourself and doing the inner work, which I know is easier said than done. Being on the other side of it now, like just feel so at peace now. And like now I'm just like, okay, it's just me and I get to focus on my babies. I'm realizing that there is so much more to life than a relationship. And I think I was definitely victim to thinking like, marriage, like I remember just growing up, I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to get married when I'm at like the age of 21, which, okay, I ended up doing that. Which, like, honestly, like, why is there such a big emphasis on marriage in our culture? Like, yes, I still think marriage is a beautiful thing, but if you end up being married to the wrong person, your life kind of gets flipped upside down. So you really have to be careful who you marry, but it is never too late. You know the saying where it's like, you're already on a moving train and say you're going the wrong way. Like, do you just keep going the wrong way, or do you know, get off that train and start coming back? I remember hearing that, and that really put things into perspective as well. And it is so true. Reflections on 2025, which now that I'm thinking about my answer to this, I will be kind of talking about the divorce again. But when I think back at 2025, I think of it as the year that I had a lot of growth, and I'm so grateful for that. I feel like I've grown the most I have as a person in 2025, and I think of it as the year that I finally chose myself, and I've learned a lot because of 2025. And I feel like going into this new year, 2026, I feel like this is going to be my year. Inshallah. There's actually a decent amount of like non-divorce questions as well. Advice for first-time moms. This is what I would tell myself, like if I could talk to myself when I was, 1 month postpartum with Zaira. Okay, this sounds so cliche, but genuinely like enjoy it because it goes by so fast, and that you will have your free time again. Okay, actually, I don't even have that much free time still, but I feel like I still am able to find free time, like, when your babies nap and things like that. But you get used to it, you truly do. And I know like they're only little for so long. I feel like before I know it, they're going to be in school and I'm going to have all my free time back. So the time I have with them, like I try my best to make my most of it. I'm not perfect with it. Some days I do get really tired and I feel like I'm not showing up as the best mom that I could be, but I do try my best. I guess other advice like I would give is definitely lean into your village, your support that you do have. Don't feel shy to ask for help. Definitely take care of yourself. Put yourself as a priority, because doing that makes it so much easier to be a better mom, in my opinion. Like when I'm doing my things, taking care of myself, I feel good about myself. I am, having fun with my kids and I'm enjoying motherhood. Like motherhood doesn't have to be this hard thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. Of course, it has its challenges, but I truly I love motherhood, and it's my favorite chapter in life that I have ever had. Non-negotiables with kids is another question I'm seeing. A non-negotiable I had was no screen time within the first year, which with Amar, I've successfully completed at least a year. With Zaira, here and there, I do remember giving her a screen when she was inconsolable in the car cry. I just feel like Amar has been an easier child, so it's been easier for me to do so. But if you look at it as not even an option as well, it makes it easier, because I realized with Zaira, when she would cry, I was like, oh my god, I need to fix her crying. But with Amar, I'm like, it's okay, he'll be fine, inshallah. It's okay if he cries for a little bit longer than 30 seconds, 20 seconds. With Zaira, as soon as she started crying, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong, which I do think you should do that with your child, but sometimes in certain situations, if you're attending to all their other needs and they're still crying, it's okay. My undercap is always sliding and it's really annoying. Let me know if you have that problem as well. I've seen certain people, they'll use wig headband things to keep their hijab in place. I need to try that. If you have tried that, let me know, because I've heard that it works really well. Pregnancy and postpartum tips. Oh my gosh, I was pregnant for a whole 3 years in a row, which is insane to me. Not being pregnant now, it feels so nice. Alhamdulillah. But now that I am breastfeeding, I know once I'm over with that, then I'll truly be I'll have my body back to myself. 1 year down, 1 more year to go. Now that he's a year old, I'm oh, and the teeth are coming in. And now that he has teeth, he hasn't bit me yet, but I'm scared of that. And so it makes me want to stop breastfeeding before it gets to that point. With Zaira, though, she never really bit me. She did it once, and then she learned very quickly on. I didn't react, and then I just took her off the breast, and then she realized that she shouldn't be doing that. Back to the pregnancy and postpartum tips. It's been so long, I feel but it's only been a year. I would say take care of yourself, especially if you're pregnant and it's your first time being pregnant, which I'm assuming is why you're asking for tips. Enjoy that pregnancy. Enjoy just, laying around. I feel the thing, since being a mom now, is that I mean, there are moments, obviously, like right now, I'm just like chilling, but a lot of times, like throughout the day, it's just like go, go, go. You're constantly running after your kids. I guess a tip, well, I guess this would be advice for first time moms. Please get like a big gate or like a big playpen for your kids when you're really, really tired, or like just having a room in your house that is completely baby proof. When you're tired, you can just lay there with them and, not have to worry about them getting hurt or running into things or, just doing things that aren't safe. That would be an advice if you don't already have your place like fully baby proof. Like, I don't think you have to fully baby proof your place if you're watching your kids, obviously, but at least have like a space where they're fully baby proofed, especially for when you're tired. If your kids wake up like really, really early and you still want to sleep in a little, you could just lay down right next to them and they're playing around you, That's what I love the playpen for, like the really big ones. I'm about to order one of those gates. We got rid of our big playpen that we had here before, and I need to get that gate because now that Amar's like crawling everywhere, he's always trying to go everywhere. And I'm like constantly having to run after him and grab him like back here when I'm chilling down here. When we're upstairs in the room, it's like pretty safe over there. But yeah, okay. Again, I went on a tangent. But I guess I don't really like, I'm trying to think like what tips I would have essentially. But I feel like my pregnancies, alhamdulillah, I will say like those went by pretty smoothly. I didn't really have too many symptoms, especially in the second and third pregnancy. The first pregnancy was the one where I had like the most symptoms and things like that. But yeah, definitely just take it day by day. It'll go by faster than you know it. Like, these are very generic things that I'm saying, but genuinely, like, it flies by. And, as far as like delivery wise, definitely like eat the dates towards the end and the raspberry leaf tea. I like doing that. I think it worked. I didn't tear the second or third time, and I was pretty consistent with those things. Do you ever feel like it would be easier if your ex was around? No. I feel like I get more support from my mom and like being with my family and being like closer to all my friends here. I feel like it, getting like the help and the support that I have, it makes it like I don't even feel like a single mom, honestly. Like, I feel like I get so much help and support in that way that I don't even really like notice that. I know there's so many single moms that are actually doing it all on their own, and I feel like I'm not really doing it like all on my own because of like the, village that I do have around me. Any plans on moving out soon? I do not actually. I think I told you guys this, and I remember like when I had first, like made the decision for my divorce and initially was like going through that whole thing, which was almost like 6 months ago now, maybe longer. Actually, don't know exactly how long. Like, I don't sit here and keep count of it. I remember like I was like adamant on like I'm gonna, come back to California and I'm going to move into my own place like immediately. And I told my parents that, and they were like, no, like wait a few weeks, days, whatever, and we will get you your own place and we'll go apartment hunting together and all that stuff. As I have been at home, like it's been so nice to get the support and just be around my family. And also for Zaire and Amar, like I think it's so nice for them to be able to have their grandma and grandpa in the same house. It's obviously like even if I get an apartment, like they'll still be around, but it's different like being in the same house. It's so nice to be able to sleep in earlier than me, and I'll just be like, oh, can you watch Zyra for like an extra hour, and then I like will come get up. Like, it is so nice to get that. It is so nice to be able to spend quality time with my parents because this is time that I will never get back with them, and it's so nice that they get to make these memories as well with Zaire and Amar. And I'm so grateful that I have like such amazing parents that, give me all the privacy that I need. What it was for me in the beginning, like of the divorce and everything was, the fact that I had lived with my parents for so long, even many times in our marriage. Like, we did live on our own for a bit. We lived with my parents and then we, moved out again. And I was only there for like 2.5, almost 3 months. And so moving right back to home, I was like, oh, like I was really enjoying having my own place, and I had just decorated my place, and I was really enjoying that place, and I really put a lot of time and effort into doing all that and getting that apartment ready. And so I think that was like kind of hard for me. Was like, oh, I put all this time and effort into this apartment and then just like leaving it behind, which sounds ridiculous thinking back because it's like, what about the marriage that I spent so long in, But yeah, I think I was just like very excited to be on my own, and I was like mentally preparing myself to be there for like the rest of my life, right? So moving back, I was just like, oh, like going back to my childhood home, like why? And then I realized as I've been here and like the perspective changes, like wait, it's actually so nice to be here. And like alhamdulillah, like I'm so grateful that I have such amazing parents that make it easy for me to live with them, because I know many people don't have that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.